Welcome to Make It Count. I'm your host, JG. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it, and it definitely helps out the channel. This week's episode, we're talking about the psychology of sports memorabilia. And last week, we did a preview for the AFC. The reason why we're not doing a preview for the NFC is just because of the NFL season starting already. It doesn't really make much sense to do that. So my timing and some of the things I wanted to do kind of caught up to me. Why are you like this? Why are you like this? So decided to pivot a little bit and really talk about something I'm really passionate about, which is sports memorabilia. So as fans, we always want to be part of the action, whether we get to get close and meet some of our favorite athletes. Maybe if we're at a baseball game and we are able to catch a foul ball or home run ball, or even get to wear some of our favorite team's jerseys. Now, I'm not a Seahawks fan, but the player I'm wearing is Richard Sherman, who I believe is one of the best corners in the NFL. Being a fifth round pick out of Stanford, coming in, being part of the Legion of Boom, I loved Richard Sherman. So I had to rep Richard Sherman, especially in the start of the NFL season, because I love corners. But
Nice.
the level of devotion to fandom sometimes stretches the entire world. As sports continues to grow in popularity, so does the business of merchandising. Sports merchandise ranges from team jerseys to cups and mugs to keychains, pencils, and everything in between. So, in today's episode, I really want to take a deep dive into sports merchandise and the psychology of sports merchandise. So, let's first start off with the history of sports merchandise. According to the Book Broker's website, the origins of sports memorabilia can be traced back to the early days of professional sports. In the 19th century, fans often saved items from games they attended, such as ticket stubs or programs. These items were then kept as souvenirs or used to trade with other fans. One of the first professional sports teams to capitalize on this idea was the Boston Red Sox. The team began selling souvenirs at their games in the early 1900s, and by 1915, they were selling a wide variety of items, including bats, balls, and photographs. Now, keep in mind that the leagues like the NFL and the NBA were nowhere near established at this time, so baseball was probably the only real league. It made complete sense that the leagues would capitalize on the idea of merchandising well before other leagues started. Additionally, from awesomeartifacts.com, the root of sports memorabilia can be traced back to the inception of organized sports themselves. As early as the 19th century, fans began collecting items associated with their favorite athletes and teams. The advent of baseball cards in the late 1800s marked a significant milestone in the history of sports memorabilia. These cards, often produced by tobacco companies, featured players and sold for just a few cents. As sports began to expand in the 30s and 40s, so did the popularity of sports memorabilia. Around this time, many collectibles could be gained by simply buying your favorite bubblegum, which, come to think about it, I wonder if that's how cereal started the idea of putting items in your cereal box. Anyway, that's a video for a different time, probably a different YouTuber. However, there are plenty of videos on YouTube, just if you're curious, of people who did research on the timelines and charted the growth of sports cards. But when did other items like jerseys and balls became a thing? Well, according to awesomeartifacts.com, sports teams began to sell merchandise directly to fans, which expanded the variety of items available for collectors. And this happened in the 1930s and 1940s. Common examples of memorabilia from this era include vintage jerseys, pennants, buttons, and badges. The integration of autographs also allowed fans to own a piece of their heroes. Authenticated signed memorabilia became a hot commodity, laying the groundwork for today's standards in authentication and collectible valuation. So let's talk about the popularity of sports memorabilia. Did you know, according to a Sports Illustrated article that was published late last year, the sports memorabilia market is expected to hit $271 billion by 2034, according to a market decipher report? The unlikely driver, believe it or not, was the COVID 19 pandemic. The article kind of goes into detail about the growing popularity led by companies like Fanatics, Whatnot, and eBay as instantaneous e commerce platforms, with the pandemic shifting much interaction to e commerce. So, why is sports memorabilia so popular? Well, let's think about it. As fans, we want to feel as close as possible to our favorite teams, our favorite athletes, and there is an emotional connection that we cannot deny when we find an affiliation with a team. Whether you are a massive Real Madrid fan, or you are a massive Chicago White Sox fan, or if you are a Lakers fan, just because your affiliation and your love for your team will oftentimes lead you to spend money and to support your team. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I like Richard Sherman. I bought a Seahawks jersey for that was Richard Sherman's jersey. Understandably, I'm not a Seahawks fan, but I do like the player. I actually love the player. So I got his jersey. Now, does collecting go further than just wearing your favorite team's jersey? Absolutely. Behind me, I have a jersey of Justin Jefferson, who is by far one of the best wide receivers. In other corners of my area, I have jerseys of Tyreek Hill, Malik Neighbors, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase. I have helmets from great running backs like Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. Again, my love for sports and sports memorabilia comes from the fact that a lot of these athletes I admire. I like what they do. They're great at their sport. They're great at their profession. There is an emotional connection to all of this. As fans, we want so hard to see our team succeed. We want to see our favorite players do well and achieve their goals and accomplish great feats. And it's, of course, many times we grow and have this emotional connection from an early age. A lot of us were introduced to sports from when we were as early as we can walk. For some fans, the emotional ties can evoke fond memories from their younger years when they were bonding with their parents on whether it's watching a game or going to a game. Or for some fans, they love the idea of collecting and having a collection they can showcase to their friends. For some people who have basements and man caves, they have to decorate it a certain ways with their favorite teams to show their loyalty. Whether it's a Lions or a Cowboys man cave, you will see a plethora, especially if you want to look it up online, of people decorating and dressing up their spaces. For some fans, the emotional ties can evoke positive memories from when they were younger. There are so many different reasons, but it all goes back to the emotional connection. So companies like the NFL, Panini, Pristine Auctions understand that. So they maximize the availability of said items. If every fan could get a signed copy of a Tom Brady card, every fan would get it, regardless if you like him or not. Because guess what? Tom Brady is considered by many circles as the GOAT. So of course you're going to want to get a piece of that. You want to get the signature from the best quarterback that's ever done it. It only makes sense. So let's dig deep for a moment. We love consuming and spending so much time and money on our favorite teams. And companies like the NFL, Panini, Pristine Auction, the NBA all know that. So what are they going to do? They're going to find a way to market and put anything out there that is going to generate sales, right? So let's really dig deep with the understanding that as fans, we love and spend time consuming our favorite team or player. And it's only logical that we would be interested in buying our team's sports memorabilia. Think of it as like how sneaker culture or comic book culture has expanded over the last few years to be widely accepted and celebrated as a growing hobby. Same thing with sports memorabilia. If you're a company and you're not trying to find ways to add more revenue, you're doing it wrong. So, of course, the NFL and the NBA, outside of providing a service such as showing us the games, are going to offer us all possible ways of buying merchandise, getting closer to the action, getting all exclusive access. And it comes at the almighty dollar. So, companies aren't stupid. They're not going to sit there and just say, hey, you like the team, here you go. They're going to find ways to maximize every possible way to earn more money. For example, think of the NBA and the city editions, or a few years back when the NFL debuted the color rush jerseys, and now they're bringing back certain jerseys for specific teams for this season, or MLB doing their own jerseys. It's all part of understanding the market and understanding that people will spend the money because they show their love and attention towards the sport. So the psychological aspect of it, really and truthfully, is just the fact that because we consume so much of it, it only makes sense that we're going to want to wear and buy jerseys. And depending on what type of fan we are, some fans grew up with the idea of baseball cards or sharing a bond with their family members over baseball cards, or going to their first game and catching a foul ball, or going to a basketball game and getting a high five from their favorite athlete. When I bought my house, one of the first requests I made to my spouse was that the basement was mine because I wanted to decorate it the way I wanted. I wanted movie posters from my favorite movies like The Dark Knight Rises, Iron Man, Goodfellas. And then I also have helmets from my favorite teams and favorite players. I have a Jonathan Taylor helmet right behind me and a Saquon Barkley New York Giants helmet. Yeah, I'm not going to get his Eagles one. Don't ask me that. I love jerseys for what they are. I love player paraphernalia for what they are. I do know one thing. Sometimes being able to see the hard work to put together a collection or to bond with other collectors is something that's really impactful for many. It's a sense of purpose, it's a sense of belonging. And for a lot of fans out there are so many fans who will spend the money to support their team because they love their team so much. That's the time I have today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, and if anything, let's make it count. Enjoy.